Hey, y'all, what's up? Coach Paul here. God has qualified me. This is Move Mondays, and you have greatness in you. Now, before we get to talking about that greatness, y'all know I got to say this. If you don't move, that person, those people, those places, those things, those thoughts, those ideas, or those ways, Coach Paul 100% promises you this. They are definitely going to move you, and you don't want to move where they going to move you to. All right, let's get going. I'm going to drop this nugget, and then we're going to get into the content of today. I'm gonna take this nugget from one of the archives, and it goes like this: no one can consistently behave in the way that is inconsistent with the way that they consistently perceive themselves as. I'm gonna leave that there, let y'all marinate on that, and let's go. Now, I have a lot of gratitude for being on the side of life where wellness and healthiness and hope and healing and redemption and all of these great things are a part of what my everyday life looks like. I'm grateful to be on this side of that because, like I said before in one of my previous episodes, my favorite book, which I choose to call the Bible, says that a man's gifts makes room for him and brings him before great men. And that applies to women as well. And because I'm on this side of life, it has put me in places and positions where I've been in the rooms with great men and great women. And the gratitude, one of the ways that I'm grateful for that is because I spent many years of my life not believing and thinking and feeling like I was enough. And so again, I'm grateful for where I am because being in these places, I learned that I have greatness in me. I learned that I have extraordinary potential, and I'm utilizing my days and my time to not only operate in that, but to continue to grow and develop that, right? And that's kind of what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about influencers or influencers. You know, me and my little brother, we had a conversation about that a couple of weeks ago, and I told him this is one of the things that I want to be able to talk about because who we are influenced by, or who's our influencers is very important because the influencers or who we influenced by could do one or two things. It could keep us in mediocrity, or it can move us into our greatness. Let me dispel the lies first before I get off into the content. You're not self-made. Stop it. Stop believing that. Stop believing that, and stop letting people tell you that lie. You are not self-made. Somebody help you become who you are. Influencers, influenced, and the other one. I'm not a follower. Yes, you are. Again, go back to my scriptures. My favorite book. He said it in there that there's nothing new under the sun. So everything that is being done has been done before. So you are a follower. It's just who you following, right? And you're not self-made. Somebody helped make you. I always talk about how, Maya Angelou talked about I stand here I come here as one, but I stand here as 10,000. Something to that effect. Hope I didn't mess it up, Maya Angelou. But that's how my life is. Where I am right now in life, I'm standing on somebody's shoulders. And the people whose shoulders I'm standing on are the ones who influenced me, right? So let's talk about that. I'm a 60s baby. I was born in the late 60s. And in that era, music meant something. Music talked about love. Music talked about togetherness. Music talked about lifting one another up. Music talked about all of the things that would speak to building up on not only the man, the woman, or the child, but the family, the community, and everything else that was surrounding us as a whole. That's what music talked about. You know, you got the Earth, Wind, and Fire. They talked about it's all about love. You got Marvin Gaye, what's going on? You got the Temptations, did they thing, and Smokey Robinson and Jackson 5, and the list goes on and on and on. And I was influenced by Motown because my mother, that's all you heard in our house. Our home was the place where all of our relatives and many of my mother friends, this is where they came when they wanted to hear music. My mother had all of the records. If she didn't have it, she sent us to the store to buy it. And a lot of that music influenced me. It even influenced me to a place where in the 80s, when I started rapping, the rap group that I was a part of, we used to do steps with our performances with our songs, like we were the Temptations, a rap group mixed with Temptation kind of swing. So again, influences, right? In the 70s, coming up, we had the disco era and the funk era, and we were influenced by the disco and the funk that was going on back home in Chicago. One of the greatest influences that we had, it still go on to this very day, was stepping. We got that from James Brown. Stepping is one of the greatest dances that you will ever know about. And if you want to know what stepping looks like, go onto YouTube and Google some of those people doing stepping back home in Chicago. Trust me when I tell you, influenced, again, because it's still going on to this very day. Now, when we got to the 80s, I started rapping. I had the Jerry curl, the whole 9 yards. I was influenced, right? I had the Kane Gold and the Pumas with the big shoestrings and the Adidas jogging suits. I was influenced, right? When you got to the 90s, started wearing the baggy two-piece jean sets with the pants tucked in the boots, with the Jodeci style and things of that nature. And then in the 2000s, when I got off into when the drugs in my life got worse, I was influenced. Now, I was an influencer, don't get it twisted. I was an influencer, and I was influenced by that culture. And that's the culture that I stayed around. And I got the consequences that went along with the culture based off the influences that I went after. Because now go back to what I said in the beginning. We either influenced in the mediocrity, or we are influenced into our greatness. So I had a taste of both of them, right? And when I came into this recovery and healing journey, I was influenced by some of the people and intrigued by some of the people that I saw that was living lives of healing and recovery. And I said, I want some of that. How do you get that? How can I get that? And they taught me and they showed me. And also, now watch this. Obviously, I had to take some of what they had and what they gave me and what they said and what they did and what they was doing and kind of mix it in with my own stuff. Because see, one of the things you got to understand about all of this, whatever you are influenced by or whoever you are influenced by, you're going to have to put some of your stuff in with it because it's not a one size fits all. Right. And so I put some of my stuff in with some of the things some of the people that influenced me, and it helped me to get to where I am today. And one of the things that I do, including this podcast, is that I live my life as an influencer, because I was talking to my brother earlier today and I told him, I said, you know what, I want to see people get better. I want to see people do well. I want to see people walk in their greatness, walk in their extraordinary potential, find out who they are and become that. And so again, I want to talk about today who or what is your influence and influencers. And again, like go back to the drug lifestyle that I was living. I was intrigued by somebody that was in my family that was a big time drug dealer, and saw what they were doing and thought that all that stuff was what life was supposed to be about. Only for it to be one of the greatest detriments that happened in my life, and even in that person's life who I was influenced by. So I understood that influence wasn't something that was going to move me into who I am in terms of who God says I am and my purpose, right? Again, that drug, I was stuck in that life for 30 years minimum, and it almost killed me in more ways than one. So now that I'm on this side of life, I want to talk about some of the people who are influencing me, some of the influencers that got coached that assist or that are assisting or have assisted Coach Paul to get to where he is today. And I got to start from my brother Kenny. May his soul rest in peace. He was an influencer for me. And from a perspective of, I learned how to dress and I learned how to iron and many things like that from our brother Kenny. Kenny was a genius, right? In many ways, I wanted to be like Kenny, and I followed Kenny. Some of the examples wasn't healthy, but many of the examples that Kenny led by, I was influenced by those, and I followed those, and I still use some of those things today because of who I am, because of how he influenced me, and for his memory as well. They talk about brothers from another mother, and I got a few of those, and I want to mention them today. I want to give them their props. My little brother Joe. When you talk about health and wellness, that man life speaks of it, right? And a lot of the things that he's doing, I learned from, and I've incorporated them in my life now. Especially when it comes to fitness and financial health and wellness and things of that nature. That brother has been a wonderful and awesome influence. And one of the other things that I appreciate about him is that he's never been one who fits in. He's one of those who's always stood out. And so that's one of the greatest influencers in my life to this very day. Another influencer, Brother Johnny. These are people I've been knowing over 50 years. Brother from another mother. Johnny was one of the guys in our lives that, he coming up, he had a rough beginning. He had a rough beginning, to say the least. And right now, Johnny has been in recovery and healing for about 21, 22 years. And part of how he's gotten to where he is has been some of the influences that I have mimicked or came up under to help me to get to where I am in terms of my recovery and my healing that's going on in my life today. And so I want to give a shout out to both of them before I talk about some of the other greats that has been influencers in my life, and some who still are. So shout out to you, Joe. Shout out to you, Johnny. Love y'all to life. Ain't nothing y'all can do about it. And I just appreciate all that you both of y'all have been in my life over the many years that we've known each other. I got some more brothers here that I can speak of too as well. We got the Pete's, we got the Lou Johns, we got the Josephs, and the Mateos, and the list goes on and on. I got some brothers that has been great influencers in my life. Now I want to talk about in terms of how I found out that I have greatness in me, how I started to be in places and positions to develop the greatness, and how I have been in places and positions. I'm in a place in a position now where I'm actually walking in my greatness and growing. I remember in my early recovery and healing, I knew that I wanted to give back. I knew that there was something more that I wanted to do, right? And by happenstance, I ended up going on YouTube and I heard a clip from Will Smith, and it was a clip from Denzel Washington. But then after those clips had went off, there was another clip that came on, and the guy said, uh, you're going to go through some pain anyway. You might as well get something out of it. He said, when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you be successful. And I'm like, who is this? And I had heard some of his quotes before, years ago. I heard one of his quotes years ago, a guy that was a counselor at one of the treatment centers that I was in. It was the one that he says, I can, I will, I must. I remember hearing the guy say that, but I didn't even know who it was at the time. But when I heard him say, when I heard those that day, that particular day, I'm like, who is this guy? And then so I looked at the YouTube, found out it was E.T., Eric Thomas. And so I started listening to Eric Thomas and I started following some of his teaching. Watch this. And started being influenced by some of the things that he was doing as a man of God, as a husband, as a father, as a speaker, as a leader, and even as a follower, because he has a mentor as well. And so he has influenced the thing that I'm doing to this very day. Part of what I'm doing right now, it was influenced by Eric Thomas. And I want to let y'all know out there in the YouTube world, you're going to have to find somebody that's going to assist you in influencing your greatness. Not this mediocrity stuff, not this anything that people are out there doing. Because I was talking to a brother the other day in a small group that we was a part of, that we are part of, and he said that, you know, one of the conversations he and his wife was having about his daughters and some of the things that they wear. Oh, everybody else is wearing it. They all wearing it. No, that's not how it's supposed to go. We can't be influenced by anything and everything, because some of the stuff that these children are influenced by today, if we let it go, if we don't do anything in terms of us being an influence to them, we can't get mad that 20 years from now, all hell breaking loose. All right. I can't forget my mama. My mama is the strongest woman that I've ever known. And sometimes, watch this, y'all, sometimes that strength can be a blessing and a curse, because her influence came from a place of, I'm going to be opposite of what y'all told me, rather than this is who I am. I hope that makes sense. It came from what influenced her to become who she is was partly based off of, I'm going to prove y'all wrong, then more than, or accompanied with, this is who I am, when it needed to be, this is who I am anyway. Forget what y'all talking about. That's what I had to learn about me, and which leads me to another one of my greatest influences, Les Brown. Les Brown, the man talked about how he was called the dumb twin. They told him, don't even try to go to college or do nothing with your life. Go get a job after you graduate out of high school. If you graduate, go get a job at the waste management company and work on the garbage trucks. They told him things of that nature. And I felt that. I felt that when I heard him saying that, because that's how that's how I was made to feel by the people who was in my life. Am I holding any grudges? Nah. Am I playing the blame game? No, because the choices and the decisions that I made, even though I had people speaking some stuff in my ear, it was still me who made the choice to go do the things that I did. Nobody made me do that. So let me get that out the way. Now, back to Les Brown. The man said, reach for the moon, because even if you miss, you will land amongst the stars. That influence catapulted my brain and my mindset to a place where you can do this. You can do this. The other thing that he said, I call it the wall of fame. One of his sayings is on my wall. He said, if you do what is easy, your life will be hard. But if you do what is hard, your life will be easy. Excuse me. That influenced me to start to go and do the hard work. And watch this, y'all. In developing your greatness, you're gonna have to do some hard work. You're gonna have to come behind the people who are doing the hard work to get to where they want to be in life, or to get to where they were predestined to be anyway. You're gonna have to come behind them. And watch this, and follow up under some of the influences and teachings that they give to assist you in getting to where you're supposed to be in life. It's just gonna happen. It can't be no other way. Let me say it like that. It cannot be any other way. You're gonna have to do it this way. And so my question to everybody out there who's listening to this episode of Move Mondays: who influencing you? Who are your influencers? Where are your influences come from? And last but definitely not least, I can't forget my pastor. Let me say this, y'all. I know ain't nobody perfect. I know that there was only one perfect, and his name is Jesus. But I promise you this. One of the things that I appreciate about the influences of my pastor is that he lives what he preaches. 100%. Again, without being perfect. He's one that said this. I love the quote that he says. He says, you may not be a 10 everywhere to everybody, but you a 10 somewhere to somebody. Find out where you at, what 10, where's your 10, and be that. That's what he said. And that stuck with me to this very day. You may not be a 10 to everybody everywhere, but you a 10 somewhere to somebody. Find out where your 10 at and be that. That's from Pastor Sean Nepstead. Can't leave him out. I appreciate everybody that has been in my life that has been influencing me to do because doing what I do right now, even these podcasts and these episodes, influencers. Because when this thought and idea came upon me, I was just like, please, you ain't qualified to do none of this. You don't meet none of the requirements to be able to do any of these things that's on your mind. But somebody came along and said, yes, you are. And last but definitely not least, I know I said it with Pastor CJ Quinney. He's Everett Thomas' his right-hand man. He said, do it ugly, but do it. Do it ugly, but do it. With that being said, y'all, Coach Paul loves every last one of y'all, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Until the next time we get together, please be well. Do the next right thing. God bless you all. And if you're looking for a butt, it's going to always be easy to find one. See y'all next time. Deuces.